Welcome to the Lex Buds and Pick and Roll podcast. I'm one of your two co-hosts, Brandon.
And with you as always is Tyler.
Tyler, this is a joyous day because we're back in person again. How long has it been since we've sat next to each other for a show?
I don't know. It feels like it's been about 2 years.
It's been a long summer, huh? It's been a really long summer.
Yeah, I had my knee injury that put us out for a while. We had you were on vacation for a while.
Crazy, yeah.
But we are back in studio in the studio without a name.
The studio without a name, and that's perfectly okay, Tyler, because this is episode 61.
Yes, the Roger Maris edition of the podcast. Remember Roger Maris? Had the home run record?
Yeah, back in the day.
And then
15 other people ended up beating him in a span of 3 years, and nobody could figure out why.
Yeah, but you had that summer of Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, which is probably the last time I think I actually watched the baseball game. Was during that home run chase. But that was when baseball was at its peak right there. Baseball's just been downhill since that.
To me, I used to watch baseball all the time. You and I used to watch the Braves. I used to watching the Cubs because I got WGN where I grew up. So I grew up watching Ryan Sandberg, Andre Dawson, Mark Grace, the whole crew. And the Braves had every good player on their team, including Sid Bream.
Best
mustache
David
in
Justice.
Baseball. Great teams. But I started falling off with baseball after the strike. You remember they had the strike?
Yes, they did.
After that, I never really got back into it. But that's neither here nor there, Tyler. Nor are we going to talk about it again on this show because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. All right, we have got Davion Mintz news, which is just super exciting. A U.S. Olympian missing their biggest event, which is kind of sad. Somebody's stealing Pappy Van Winkle bourbon. We need your.
Me.
It wasn't me. All right, Shaggy. And a Nashville woman's license plate has deemed offensive, and we're going to need the listeners' help to decide if it is indeed offensive or not.
I'm excited for that one because I purposely did not click on that article when you sent it to me because I just want to give my initial reaction to what the license plate is. Yeah. I have no idea what it is.
Well, good. That's going to be exciting. And, of course, Bill Cosby is out of prison, so everybody lock up your house in general. And we're just going to have some fun stuff here at the end of the show. We're going to talk about the Calipari player brackets. And if we have time, we'll squeeze in a little bit of the Wheel of Stupid Topics. We'll see how that goes.
Wow, that's a full show. There might not be enough time for all that.
I know. It's going to be really exciting, Tyler. But before we get into it, there's a lot to cover. Mr. Hobbled Leg, what'd you do this week? Have you been able to walk and get around?
Yeah, I can hobble around. I can walk a little ways without my crutches, which is good.
That's exciting.
But this was a great week for me because something happened this week that I have been waiting for 25 years.
Oh my God, 25 years.
25 years. Okay, let me take you back to 1996. Which was the year a young Tyler Bentley was in the 5th and 6th grade and had a small obsession. And you probably remember, Brandon, when you came into my room in circa 1996, on my bookshelf was a stack of what?
Oh, God.
I had at least 30 or 40 of them.
Oh, geez. You had some scary books, I remember.
Yes.
But I don't remember what they were. They looked kind of cool. I never read them, so I don't know. What was the name of them?
The R.L. Stein Fear Street books.
Fear Street. Okay.
You remember Fear Street?
Yes. I know the names. Like I said, never read them, but that's all right.
Well, in middle school, I was obsessed with these books. I read, I think, every single one of them. They would come out with a new one every month, and I would get it as soon as it came out. I would carry it around all day at school. Carry it between classes, and when you would in class you'd finish your work early and you'd turn around and sit and talk to people or your pass notes or whatever. I would pull out my Fear Street book and start reading it like a total nerd.
Gosh, I bet the girls were just flocking.
Oh, listen, if there's anything that impresses girls more than a stack of 40 Fear Street books in your room or just carrying one around with you at school all day, it's no wonder I had to fight the ladies off with a stick.
Yeah. Tyler, I can't imagine how big your legs must have been from running away from the women chasing you down reading Fear Street books. So you like the Fear Street books, so what?
So
I don't get it.
The first ever Fear Street movie premiered on Netflix on Friday.
Really?
And I was quite excited. I watched it the day that it came out. Normally, because my wife doesn't watch scary movies. So, normally I'll wait till she goes to bed. I'm like, honey, I can't wait. I got to watch it now. I've waited for this for 25 years.
You sound like my 10-year-old. No, I want to do it now. I'm going to do it now. But, I mean, is she afraid of scary movies like the gory scary movies or movies? When I think R.L. Stine scary movies, I don't initially think, oh, this is going to be really bad.
Oh, don't be fooled. Now, the R.L. Stine also had the Goosebumps book,
right,
which were a little more kiddier.
Mm-hmm.
But the Fear Street,
that's what I'm thinking.
They could be gory. They could be a little provocative, a little R-rated.
Wow.
I truly think my love for scary movies stems in part from reading those books in middle school.
Oh my goodness!
And so it was just something I'd waited for a very long time, because when I was reading all these books, like, man, if only there were a movie about these.
Well, how was it, though?
And then 25 years, the books were better.
Well, okay, Mr. Oh, you should read the books first. Nobody's going to do that. Let's say that somebody hasn't read Fear Street, or they didn't grow up watching Fear Street. Is it good to watch if you've never read the books?
Listen, it was a solid movie. Now, it's actually a 3-part movie. It's a trilogy, and part 2 comes out next week, and then part 3 the week after. So part 1 was set in 1994. Which the nostalgia was great. It had all the mid-'90s, Nine Inch Nails and Radiohead, and all just the soundtrack was phenomenal. It was very kind of screamish a little bit.
I see.
It kind of had some nods to some of the classic scary movies, but it was fine. But I think when you build something up in your head for 25 years, I don't think it's probably not going to meet your expectations once you've built it up that long. But it was still good. I would still recommend it to anyone if you love the scary movie genre. And then make sure, I think part 2 is going to be the best one, because it's like at a summer camp. So it's kind of like a
Friday the 13th kind of deal.
Thing.
That's very interesting, Tyler, I got to say.
So check it out. If you've not seen it, let us know what you think, if you agree with my love for Fear Street.
Well, that is way more exciting than what I did this week. So I could imagine having this pent-up energy and excitement for something, and you're just sitting there waiting, and it finally happens. That's over half your life you've been waiting on this, for Pete's sake.
That's true.
That is unbelievable.
25 years.
Unbelievable.
If I could only go back and tell 6th grade me that one day there would be a movie, he'd be very excited.
It would have changed your whole outlook on life, wouldn't it?
It might have.
Life would have been a lot better. I didn't really do a whole lot this week, Tyler. I've been working on some kind of business-related things and doing a bunch of nerdy number stuff, kind of like reading books,
Yeah, kind of nerdy.
Yeah, I just sit and read and research and stuff like that. And, we had a 4th of July cookout. I don't know if you recall that or not.
I was here. Yeah,
That's right.
Just last night.
You ate a bunch of food, and as did I. And it was fantastic. Just something about meat touching fire just puts hair on your chest. Even just saying it, I felt a couple of them sprout up, I think, through my T-shirt. There's something about it, Ty. I don't know what it is.
It is. It's an American tradition. Really. What better way to celebrate our country's Independence Day than to just grill out some meat?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, did you see there's a new Budweiser commercial with Bill Pullman where he redoes the Independence Day speech?
No.
I would recommend
I can't wait to see
I would
that.
recommend checking that out after you finish listening to the podcast.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. It's going to be exciting. Tyler, I think we just dive right into it. We don't have a ton of sports news today, but we've got some really big topics.
We've got some big UK news.
Yeah, and I think we just started. What do we got?
All right, well, Davion Mintz will be a 6th-year senior for the Cats this season. He took the option to come back to school to play for another season. They gave kids, with the COVID happening, gave kids the chance to come back if they wanted to play another year, regardless of if they were a senior or not. So he's taking the NCAA up on that opportunity to come back to school for a 6th year. Mintz finished last season as Kentucky's leader in scoring and the leader in assists. Brandon, how big is Mintz's return, and how good are the Cats going to be with the roster as it is right now?
This is really interesting. If you would have asked me 2 months ago if Mintz came back, I would say, God, this is going to be huge news. But think about all that we have done in the last couple of months with Kellen Grady, Severe Wheeler. Our backcourt looks a lot different now. Ty Washington's committed. So now he's returning as not only he was going to come back as the guy. He's now come back as like the 3rd or 4th guy in the backcourt alone. So, he's joining a team that's ready to roll, and it's probably the type of team that he thought he was joining when he came here initially. He wanted to come here, play on the big stage. He's going to get the opportunity to do that. Nobody got to do that last year pretty much. And he might get a chance to have a, positive 500 record, something over 500%. So, that's a good thing, and he will get the full Kentucky experience. So I'm excited about it. I don't think it's as big of a deal as it was 2 months ago, but still a big deal.
Yeah, because you didn't even mention in the backcourt Dante Allen or C.J. Frederick, who are two best three-point shooters.
Sorry, I was thinking like John Calipari for a second. I put the three-point shooters on the bench.
That's fair.
Wait till the fans get hostile and then put them in.
But yeah, I mean, we are 6 deep at the guard position with all those guys that we just mentioned. I don't even know who's your starting lineup at the guard position. I mean, you got to assume Mintz is going to be a starter because he was the leading scorer last year. It'd be kind of hard to bench a guy coming back like that.
Well, a couple things though. Leading scorer on a terrible team, is that good? I'm looking at Kellen Grady, averaged 18 points a game. You're looking at Ty Washington, who's probably going to be a lottery pick next year. Who's he going to come in and play over? That's what I'm saying. I get what you're saying, but you're going to take away an 18-point-a-game scorer, and you're going to take away a lottery pick to put in Davion Mintz?
Somebody's feelings are going to be hurt. There's no doubt about it. I mean, at every position, we are basically too deep, and we are still possibly looking at adding more guys.
It's scary, man.
We just heard the news this week that Illinois center Kofi Coburn has put his name in the transfer portal. He was a second-team All-American last year.
That dude is a beast.
He is a GAM.
You put him and Oscar Tshiebwe down low, somebody's coming out with a broken leg every game. I would be scared if I was going up against the post against those two guys. But the other thing to think about is if he does come here, the game has shifted away from having too much post presence and more to the perimeter, which, I think we got 52 perimeter players now. Could be a good thing for us.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at the one thing that this team kind of doesn't have, it's that elite rim protector. That's the big 7-footer who can just protect the paint. I mean, Oscar is good, but I think he's only like 6'9", 6'10", maybe. Coburn comes in, he fills that position, and basically I think Kentucky has every possible scenario covered. They can play any type of style. Mm-hmm. They can do anything they want to do. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with that. Also, just how great is it to actually have our leading scorer from a season come back? This is the first time in the Cal era.
That's weird.
That the leading scorer has not bolted for the NBA. And this is actually, do you know who the last player to come back to Kentucky who led the team in scoring the year before?
Can you give me a clue?
Little pop quiz for you.
Yeah, can you give me any kind of clue?
It was the Tubby era.
I'm thinking either Joe Crawford or Rajon Rondo or Randolph Morris.
Nope, it is one of those three.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think Rondo was the leading scorer, so I'm either going to say Crawford or Morris. I'm going to say Morris.
You are correct, sir.
Okay. I mean, it had to be one of those three. Nobody else was that.
He of the fax machine fame. Randolph Morris was the last leading scorer to come back.
I guess I could have thought about Tayshaun Prince, too. I don't know if did he come back, too, when he was a leading scorer?
I mean, him or Bogans.
Bogans, yeah, one of those
had
two.
To be.
Yeah, one of those two. But long story short, it doesn't happen a lot. And I think this is the beginning of an interesting era. If you remember when Calipari first got here, people talked about getting recruited over. We've went through a stretch of like 5 years where nobody's getting recruited over because we can barely assemble a team. Now we're getting to the point where people are switching the argument to, oh my God, who's going to be on the team, to, gosh, I hope that guy doesn't feel bad because he's getting recruited over by another 5-star player. I miss those days. Those were the first 5 years of Calipari. And now we may be able to get them back.
Yeah, the practices are going to be insane. I mean, you could sell season tickets just to watch these guys go up against each other in practice.
All the money the schools are losing because of name, image, likeness, they should start charging money for the practices.
I would go.
I would totally.
That'd be great.
Kofi Coburn versus Oscar Tshiebwe every day in practice. That would just be brutal. But Anyway, Ty, we're going to move on to some Olympics news, and this one is kind of like a lightning rod. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this one. So, a 100-meter sprinter from the United States, Sha'Carri Richardson, has tested positive for the marijuana, which means that she will be suspended. The marijuana, and not eligible to run in the Olympics 100-meter dash, and she is by far one of our best chances at winning a gold. She's a good athlete. But a lot of people are saying, well, this is ridiculous. Testing positive for marijuana, that shouldn't even hurt anybody. That should actually hurt you. It's not a performance-enhancing drug. Mm-hmm. And you also have people saying that this is a racist practice, which is the other piece. Tyler, I'm curious your thoughts. Should she be suspended for the marijuana?
We sound so old.
Or should she not? And just to clarify, she said that she was smoking to help deal with the anxiety and stress from her mother's recent death.
Yeah, because that adds a whole other layer onto it, because then you sound like a terrible person if you...
That's why I wanted to say that right before you answered.
Go against her. One, I think it makes what she accomplished even more impressive That I mean, because as you said, there's no performance enhancement coming from the pot, from the marijuana. We sound like a 9-year-old
It's okay.
grandma.
That's
Was
okay.
she on the pot?
Was she smoking the devil's lettuce?
But I think it makes it more impressive, and I think it's dumb. The rule is dumb. Let's just come out, because how many states is it legal in now? I don't even 30 some states it's legal, including the state she was smoking it in, or inhaling it, or I don't know what.
You should probably stop talking about it now, Tyler. Eating it, drinking it, whatever,
I don't know.
What have you?
Ever how she ingested it into her system. I don't know. I'm not
okay. So should
not
she
a big
be
drug
suspended?
user. Yes,
Why?
I do think she should, because it's the rule, and you can't have a rule without a consequence. You can't just have rules and make exceptions. Yeah, it stinks the situation she was going through, because she was going through a family member's death. It sucks, but it's the rule. You can't make exceptions. If it's in the rule book, you got to follow it. And she, I assume, was aware of this rule. Being an Olympic athlete, I think you would know all these substances that are legal and not legal, or allowed and not allowed
right.
to be used. So it's dumb to have the rule. It's even more dumb that she did it. It's dumb that everything about this whole situation is just dumb and could have been avoided from either side. It's an antiquated rule, I think.
Do you think it's a racist rule?
No.
Okay. I'm just saying, because that's, I'm seeing article after article after article written about it. And, when I see that, I agree with you. I think that is a terrible argument, because it makes the implication that black people are the only ones that smoke pot. You know what I mean? It's like,
being from Eastern Kentucky, I can tell you that is not
true at all. And to be fair, there have been white athletes that have tested positive for marijuana and been suspended as well. So this isn't kind of one or the other. A lot of people bring up the argument about, well, it's legal in her state. It doesn't matter. The Olympics doesn't manage the state of Washington. It manages the planet. And they set rules for the planet. You know what I mean? They're not going by if it's legal in your state. If there was a rule in the Middle East that said cocaine is legal, and they had the fastest sprinters in the world because they were all doing coke beforehand, it doesn't matter if it was legal in your country or not. The Olympics Committee says, no, nobody can do that across the whole world, regardless of where it's legal and illegal. So I think that's a dumb argument. I think the racist argument's stupid. I think the actual rule is stupid, too. At some point, we're going to look back on this about how hard we're being on pot. And let's just be fair, Tyler. You and I have never smoked pot, as far as I know.
No, not that I'm aware of. No.
So we're not sitting here advocating like we're going to go light one up after the show or something. It's just, things are going to change here fairly soon. And if a rule is a rule at the time, even if it's stupid, you have to abide by it. It reminds me of the shot clock rule in the Wisconsin game. They amended it to where if there was a shot clock violation under 2 minutes, you could look at it. But at the time that happened, you couldn't review to see if it happened, even in a Final Four game with so much on the line. They ended up changing the rule, but at the time, you have to go by the rule that's in place. And while it sucked, they amended it the next year and fixed it. And maybe the Olympic Committee will adjust and fix this, but you got to stick to what you wrote.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're actually on the same page with this one.
I didn't know where you would go with that.
We both think it's a dumb rule, but both agree with the suspension.
Man, there we go. Who knew?
But she does at least, she qualified for another event too, right? Mm-hmm. Besides the 100 meters, so she'll at least have an opportunity to be in the Olympics.
But you only get to do this once every 4 years. And I think she's got a really good brand. She's got a certain look, too. She's got the wild-colored hair and everything, like the orangish hair.
Oh, yeah. She would have made a fortune.
Got a great look, man. And so you hate to see somebody miss out on that, especially when they're only going to be on the world stage once every 4 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, well. What do we got?
All right. We're going on to the news. Again, not much sports today, but we've got some exciting news topics for you. This weekend was the 4th of July, obviously, so if you are listening to us, hope you had a great holiday. Hope you celebrated accordingly and
safely.
Yeah, safely with whatever you preferred to do with your holiday. But if you had happened to have visited a fireworks stand this weekend, you might have been surprised to find there were no black cats, Roman candles, or screaming memes. No ladyfingers, fuzzbuttles, snicker bombs, church burners, finger blasters, gut busters, zippity doodahs, or crap flappers. You might have stood there at a fireworks stand with no whistling bungholes, no spleen splitters, whisker biscuits, honky lighters, hoosker doos, hoosker don'ts, cherry bombs, nipsey daisers, with or without the scooter stick, or one single whistling kitty chaser. That's because due to supply chain issues, the supply of fireworks was down about 30% this year, Brandon, were you disappointed you couldn't buy any Whisker biscuits this year?
Oh my gosh, you totally went all Joe Dirt on me though. I did not see that coming. I never know how you're going to intro a segment, and that just makes me so happy. I'm glad to hear that.
I love Joe Dirt. That's
You're going to sit there, fireworks stand, and tell me that is a great movie.
Snakes and sparklers are the only ones I like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of sparklers, that's what we invested in. I actually went to Meijer. They had a ton of sparklers, so we bought like 100 sparklers and lit them all off last night. I was just sitting there with a little Bic lighter.
Yep.
Just lighting for about 2 hours straight, nothing but sparklers. My thumb was killing me. So I really don't do the whole fireworks thing because I've seen where those can kind of go south. When you're lighting them and you don't know what you're doing, stuff happens. Yeah. Even if you know what you're doing, fireworks can just kind of go all over the place.
Put it in reverse, Terry.
That is a great video. I know people give that one a hard time, but it is funny.
Yeah, I also am not a big fireworks fan, and if you have listened to this show at this time last year, you know my feelings about people shooting fireworks all night, not only on the 4th of July, but for the week and week after the 4th of July. I feel like it actually hasn't been quite as bad this year.
It hasn't. I was wondering the same thing. Even before the 4th of July, like you said, it's turned into a 2-week celebration.
Yes.
I haven't hardly heard any of it.
So maybe there is some truth to this supply chain issue, and I will say that if that is the case, this is one positive thing that has happened because of COVID. If there are less fireworks, because inevitably, it's one thing for me to be laying awake all night, but then it also wakes the kids up, and then you got to deal with kids being awake at 11 o'clock, midnight.
Yeah, that's rough.
So I enjoyed this week more than I've enjoyed any 4th of July week in a long time because I guess fireworks were harder to come by, and I guess I would assume were probably more expensive since there were more of them.
Probably. And you know what? That probably has something to do with our next story, Tyler, because Forbes came out with a ranking of the most exciting and the most boring states in the country. And Forbes puts together a lot of different lists. You know what I mean? They come out with a list, it seems like, for everything. But would you like to know where Kentucky ranked in the top 50? And actually, I should say 51 because they include the District of Columbia.
I mean, I would think Kentucky would at least be in the top half, right? I mean, top 25.
Top 25 of this list? Because that's not accurate, Tyler. Out of 51 options, Kentucky is rated as number 42 in the country. That's bad. I'm bored talking about it. Just for a comparison's sake, Indiana was rated number 38, and all they have is corn. As far as I know, it's all cornfields. Nothing but corn. When you drive through I-65, it's all corn. Mm-hmm. And we can't beat that. What does that say to you, Todd? Do you agree or disagree with this? Obviously, you disagree, but I mean,
I'm looking at this list, and there are at least 10 states ahead of Kentucky that we should easily be ahead of. What was our ranking? 30 what? 35th?
We're 42.
42, sorry. We should at least be 32. I mean, let me read you some of the states that they have above Kentucky.
Okay.
Kansas. Oh. What the heck is in Kansas? More cornfields.
Corn.
New Hampshire. Montana. Nebraska. North Dakota. Wyoming. What's there to do in Wyoming?
Drive really fast on the interstate to get out of Wyoming. That's about it. I don't know.
I mean, I know that I can name one city, Cheyenne. There's the beaches of Cheyenne, the Garth Brooks song. That's about all I know about Wyoming.
Yeah.
Iowa. I mean, unless you're there for the presidential election, what else is going on in Iowa?
Well, that's one more thing that's going on here, I guess.
South Dakota, Idaho. Give me a break, Idaho. And Oklahoma. What's there to do in Oklahoma? I mean, I would put Kentucky above all those states.
Well, have you been to all those states? How can you say that, Tyler?
I don't need to go to any of those states. Actually, truthfully, I don't think I've been to a single one of them, to be honest with you, and for good reason, because what are you going to do in any of those states?
Yeah, you know what's interesting is when people say, what's there to do in Kentucky? I say, well, if you like bourbon, horse racing, or basketball, you'll have a great time. And everybody I tell that to is like, that sounds awesome.
I mean, everybody's got to like at least one of those things.
One of those things. It's the state of fast women and good-looking horses, or some good-looking horses and fast women, or something.
I think that's the exact phrase.
I think that's our state motto, actually. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised. I mean, Kentucky's got a lot going for it. It's a very diverse state when you consider like the different sections. Eastern Kentucky is different from Western, is different from Northern, is different from the Bluegrass area. Louisville's its own thing. I mean, it's just kind of all over the map. You know what I mean? And Montana, it's just a big state.
What's there to do in Montana?
I don't know.
Tell me one thing to do in Montana.
I don't know. I was pretty disappointed to see it, but oh well. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, you've got Churchill Downs, you've got Keeneland, you've got Eastern Kentucky. You know, if you just like going to see the beautiful scenery, the mountains, the state parks. I mean, you've got great fishing places. You've got hunting. Not that, you know, I'm not into any of those things, but if you're an outdoor person, I mean, there's all kinds of places to do outdoor things. You've got like the Corvette Museum in Western Kentucky. We've got a NASCAR racetrack. We've got Kentucky basketball, football, Louisville basketball.
You need to work for the Kentucky Department of Tourism, Tyler. This is impressive. I need to put you out there.
You can go on the Bourbon Trail, see all the bourbon distilleries. We've got, I mean, everything. We've got the small towns. You've got the big city in Louisville if you want the urban atmosphere.
But you can go to Idaho and eat all the potatoes you want. You can have mashed potatoes, smashed potatoes, fried potatoes,
like
baked
Forrest
potatoes, twice baked potatoes, French fries, waffle fries, steak fries, curly fries.
Well, man, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we should be ranked.
I guess that's about it.
I guess if you like potatoes,
yeah, who doesn't? What we got next, Tyler?
All right. Well, Brandon, Democrat Charles Booker has thrown his hat into the ring for U.S. Senate and will run against Republican Rand Paul next year. Booker, of course, narrowly lost last year's Democratic primary to Amy McGrath for the honor of being pummeled by Mitch McConnell. Booker will likely be the underdog by all the prognosticators in the race. But what are you going to put his odds at for beating Rand Paul?
First of all, I don't know how he's going to be an underdog, really. I've heard that same argument. I mean, he ran pretty well against Amy McGrath, who was endorsed by basically all the money in Washington, D.C., and still came pretty close considering he jumped into the race late. Yeah. So I don't know how you could consider him an underdog, even though I've heard that same argument.
Well, because we are Kentucky. We are a heavy, heavy red state.
Well, I thought you meant an underdog in the Democratic primary.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was talking about against Paul.
Okay. Yeah, he is an underdog against Paul. There's no chance in France.
No chance.
No chance.
Brandon is already calling it. CNN breaking news. Brandon has called the U.S. Senate race for Rand Paul.
Unless Rand Paul or Mitch McConnell want to step down, they're going to win. That's just the way it is. They've thrown everybody in the kitchen sink against Mitch McConnell, and it's not even been close. I mean, not even close. We're not even in the same area here. But if you watch the news during the elections, it's going to be a close race. People are saying this never happens.
Well, to be fair, the candidates that Democrats have chosen in recent years to run against McConnell have just been terrible. I mean, you had McGrath was just not a good candidate. You had... What's the lady's name who ran before that?
Alison
Lundergan Grimes.
What was wrong with her?
She just was not good.
Who are you looking for, Ty? Who beats Mitch McConnell?
Well, probably nobody, but you even have less of a chance.
But, I mean, who's this perfect candidate? They're either going to win or they're not. Mitch has a really good strategic operation in Kentucky, which is the problem. It's going to be hard to overcome the voter turnout for him. For whatever reason, even though he's got a low approval rating, facts are facts. He's going to win until he chooses to step down in 20 more years, probably. Rand Paul, I think, is getting to that point. He's become an establishment in Kentucky. I'm just not a fan of voting the same people in over and over and over. Okay, so I like Rand Paul. I think sometimes he says things where I'm like, what are you smoking? What is wrong with you? But there's just as many times where I'm like, I can't believe somebody finally stood up and said something about that. It's about friggin' time. So he runs really hot and cold for me, but at least I feel like when he says something, he actually believes it, and he doesn't just say something to get people riled up. You know what I mean? Because there are politicians that do that too. I actually think, even though some of the things he thinks is nutty in my opinion, at least I think he believes it. Same way I feel about Bernie Sanders. I think he's a loon. But I think he believes...
You appreciate the honesty.
I actually appreciate the honesty from somebody that I think is loony more than I appreciate somebody that I may agree with more that just is making me feel good. I don't like that. I hate it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate honesty over everything else, and I think Rand Paul has that. So for me, I'm a Rand Paul appreciator. I was going to say fan, but not a fan. I'm an appreciator, but I can't vote for him again.
Oh, so you're not voting for Rand Paul?
No, I'm not going to vote for people that have run that long in Congress.
Okay.
Just as a principle.
Yeah, it's going to be, as you said, it's going to be very hard to beat Rand Paul. So far, the only person who's been able to beat Rand Paul is his neighbor.
Oh, boy.
I mean, saying. Shout out to my buddy Scott. He sent me that line.
Yeah, his neighbor really tackles the issues, doesn't he? really Tyler, that's a pretty good one. I didn't see that coming. You got some good ones today.
But I mean, if we're looking at Booker, he is the hot name right now in the Democratic Party in Kentucky. If the primary had lasted a month longer, he would have probably beat McGrath and been the candidate for Senate last time.
Mm-hmm.
He's very charismatic. Just take his views and beliefs aside. If you just look at being an excellent public speaker, being able to communicate with people, being able to relate to people from Louisville to Eastern Kentucky. I mean, we saw he had a rally in Whitesburg that a lot of people came out to and were very impressed with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a guy who can relate to all areas of the state, which I think gives him at least a puncher's chance to potentially beat Rand Paul. Because I think if these two guys are on a debate stage, I think Booker wipes the floor with him.
Really?
I think in a debate he kills Rand Paul because Rand Paul inevitably always sticks his foot in his mouth. I mean, you let him talk for an hour, he's going to say a couple of things.
He's not a good debater. I agree with you on that. But he's established in the state, in a very red state, and he doesn't rock the boat with people in Kentucky that much. That's all you really have to do if you're a Republican in this state and you get elected to high office. Just don't rock the boat too much, and you'll probably get reelected.
Yeah.
You have to look for reasons not to vote somebody in. That's what happened with Bevin. Bevin rocked it to the point where people were like, this guy's an a-hole. I don't like him at all.
It was too far. He went too far.
Yeah, he went too far. So, I mean, if you just don't rock the boat and you got the R next to your name when people go into the voting booth, I think they're going to reelect you. But maybe I'm wrong. I think he brings more excitement, but to a smaller group of people. If he was in another state, he would probably win something big. But Kentucky's just, if you're in Kentucky or West Virginia, I just don't know that those two states, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just difficult.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting race, I think, nonetheless.
Yeah, I like excitement in the race. That's a good thing. Tyler, speaking, we were talking about bourbon a little bit earlier. Netflix has a new special that's going to be arriving, a docuseries titled Heist, which is a 6-episode true crime series that talks about stories where people almost got away with big crimes. And one of those stories is going to be related to the stealing of Pappy Van Winkle bourbon over several years from the distillery. This happened in 2015. I don't want to give away the ending in case people want to watch to see what happens, but what are your thoughts on Netflix, again, showcasing a Kentucky story about stealing bourbon? The last one we talked about was Cocaine Bear. So we've got Cocaine Bear, and we got people stealing bourbon, Tyler. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, where's the Montana documentary or the Idaho documentary where they stole potatoes? I don't see that on Netflix.
I think it's numbered in the top 10. It's called Potato Smasher. No?
But anyway, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not terribly excited for this.
Why not?
This just it doesn't really do it for me as far as a documentary. Now I've watched a lot of Netflix documentaries. I love documentaries, but I don't know if a 2-part series on stealing bourbon is going to keep my attention.
But why would they go to that story?
I mean, I'm glad they're doing it. I'm glad it's going to highlight the whole bourbon industry for our state. And
I think that's what it is. People like bourbon. Bourbon's kind of a big deal right now. You have a lot more bourbon cocktails out when you go out to a bar.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's kind of a name thing. People are like, ooh, people stealing bourbon. Those jerks, go get them. You know what I mean? I think that may have something to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, just being honest, I'm more of the murder mystery documentary, the 2020 type documentaries. I don't know that a bourbon heist is going to do it for me. But like I said, I'm still glad it's happening. Are you going to watch it? Are you excited for it?
I didn't watch. No. I probably won't. No. I know everything there is to know about bourbon, though. I drink it. It tastes good. I like it.
And do you know how to steal it?
I guess I should watch the show. Maybe figure it out. I don't know. But no, I probably won't watch it. I've got my queues up to like 50 different things that I haven't watched on Netflix yet. I've got a lot to go through first.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Of all the stuff I have to watch, I mean, I still have 2 more Fear Street movies to watch coming up.
Come on, man.
So,
yeah, we'll get to it eventually. What's next, Tyler?
Somebody else watch it and let us know how.
Absolutely.
All right, Brandon. Former President Donald Trump was ranked near the bottom of a new list by historians surveyed on who they believe the best U.S. presidents are. Trump received the lowest leadership grades of any commander-in-chief over the past 150 years. and was ranked 41st overall out of 45 former presidents. Meanwhile, Barack Obama, just looking at our two most recent presidents, climbed to the top 10 of the rankings. Brandon, how do you feel about where our last two presidents were ranked?
A couple of things. First, I think there's a huge difference in asking presidential rankings from historians and from people that lived under the rule of those presidents. So if you went out and asked people, this is kind of strange, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but if you asked a lot of people, they would say, well, Trump's my favorite president. Would you agree with that? There's a lot of people that would say that. Okay.
Yes. They would probably rank him number 1 out of 45.
And a lot of people would rank him number 45, right? So, I mean, it's tough to say when you say historians or ranking. In terms of Obama being in the top 10, I don't understand that. I thought he was just average. I don't think he did anything great. I didn't think he did anything terribly bad. He was just kind of... I expected more when he came into office, I guess is... You know what I mean? But I didn't really feel like he went one way or another in doing anything great. So, I don't know. I thought he was rated a little too high. I'd put him in the middle of the pack. If you're looking at Trump objectively, tough to say because that is a totally different animal. I mean, I've never seen anything like that presidency in my life, or apparently in anybody's life. It was a wild ride. In some ways, I feel sorry for him because he was hampered by the Russia investigation, which I think was ridiculous, but that's a whole other story for another day. So 3 years of his presidency was basically tarnished, and then his last year, as soon as that was over, he got the COVID stuff. So it was like one beating after another. He was a loose cannon, said some things where I woke up in the morning and thought, why on God's green earth would you say that? This is going to be a long day. Yep. You know what I mean? So I get where historians would say he's ranked towards the bottom. I understand that. It's hard to argue. The Obama thing, I think, is a little revisionist history because when he was in office, he didn't really do anything one way or another.
Yeah, I think it says a lot. I think we've had a lot of very mediocre to below average presidents. Because, I mean, to me, Obama was fine. I think he was okay. Mm-hmm. He wasn't my favorite, but I mean, he's ranked number 10. Lyndon Johnson was ranked number 11. Mm-hmm. Like, well, shoot, I didn't think Lyndon Johnson was very good. I'd put him ahead of Lyndon Johnson if he's 11th. So I think it also speaks to a lot. We've just had a lot of crappy presidents, I feel like. I mean, once you get down from kind of that top 4 or 5 guys, which who do you think the top 4 were? I think you can.
Well, I got to say Abraham Lincoln would be number 1.
Yep, Lincoln was 1.
George Washington.
Washington was 2.
FDR.
FDR was 3.
JFK.
Can you get the next one?
JFK.
He was in top 10, but he was not 4th.
Ronald Reagan.
Nope.
Oh, jeez. Then I don't know.
The Trust Buster.
I don't know.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, I was getting ready to say Roosevelt, and I didn't say it. Who else was in there?
I don't know. That was the top 4. I know Kennedy was in the top 10. Jefferson was in the top 10.
What about Zachary Taylor?
No, I don't think he was in the top 10.
President McKinley?
But looking at the bottom, Trump was only ahead of Franklin Pierce, Andrew Johnson, and James Buchanan.
Ooh,
which James Buchanan basically, incited the Civil War. So I think Trump's going to at least be safe of always being ahead of James Buchanan.
That's good.
Through all these lists.
But again, you got to say the historians' ranking makes a big difference.
Well, yeah, but I mean, who do you think is more qualified to rank presidents? I mean, historians or the average Joe?
It depends. If you have enough average Joes to poll, I think you can just ask the people that lived under them and then rank how those people polled versus others.
Yeah, but what do you think the average Joe knows about Andrew Johnson?
They just need to know that Andrew Johnson was a good guy. But what does a historian know?
Everything.
No. I mean, what is
that's their job? It's to study history. A historian
looks at these objective things. They don't look at the everyday person's life. So if you're Joe Blow sitting at your house and you're thinking, "Wow, when Bill Clinton was president, I made more money than I ever did in my life. I had this, I had that." Then you're going to say, "Yeah, Bill Clinton's the best president."
I would probably, if we're just looking at presidents of my lifetime, I'm probably putting Clinton 1 just because of what you said. Everything was great when Clinton was president.
But I guess that's what I'm saying. I think you have to ask the people that lived at that time, poll them, and ask them these questions about leadership. Ask the people. The historians, I mean, they know like this. Ask the people. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and this, it's hard with them just having left office in the last few years. You don't know the historical context for many, many years down the road sometimes for the effects of what they did. So
the problem is you can't poll people that lived under the rule of Zachary Taylor.
That's true.
Or
that makes it hard.
That's going to be difficult. So that'll probably never happen. Thus, we must rely on the historians.
Yes.
Isn't that weird how that all comes back to?
Historians All right, Brandon, I'm interested to hear this story. I've been waiting. I did not click the link for this one because I wanted to hear what is the deal with this license plate.
Tyler, what comes to mind when I spell out this license plate? 69 PWNDU.
69 PWNDU.
DU. Does that evoke anything in your mind? Okay, apparently not. Apparently,
I get the numbers. I do not know what the letters stand for.
Well, that's part of the fun.
Okay.
Apparently, it is something offensive because Leah Gollum from Nashville, Tennessee, has said that her personalized plate is being discriminated against, and she is being prohibited from renewing her registration on her plate by the state of Tennessee. Thus, she is suing the Tennessee Department of Revenue to be able to use her personalized plate, which again is 69 PWNDU.
Okay.
Tyler, who's right in this case? And does the Tennessee Department of Revenue have a dirty mind?
I mean, am I just missing something here? Is there... do those letters actually stand for something and I'm just naive?
Well, here's what Leah says, that the 69 is because we landed on the moon in 1969.
Okay, that's historically accurate.
And
yes.
PWNDU is a term used in video gaming, meaning that you've owned that person in that video game. You own them.
What?
Like, I beat you so bad, I own you, man.
It's a video game term?
That is her defense.
What does it stand for?
I don't know. Well, I don't know that.
Huh.
But do you buy that, Tyler, that she combined the moon landing and a video game term, or do you think it's something dirtier than that? Because the Tennessee Department of Revenue says that it's dirty.
I would assume there are other license plates that have that number. I mean, just if they're randomly assigning numbers,
okay, let's take
somebody's going to get that.
Let's take the number out of it. They think there's something else here. So what do you think PWNDU stands for? If you could just say it out loud for the public to hear.
I really don't want to.
We can edit it out. No, we don't edit anything here. So you want to give it a go, or you just want to move on to the next topic? PWNDU.
I mean, if it is truly derogatory and can be proven that it's derogatory, then I guess they have an argument. But if that's what it is and that's what she considers it to be, then no, I think she's right. I agree with the woman.
Oh, jeez. It's going to be interesting. I was sitting here
Do I need to Google this right now and see what it means?
Tyler, that she says that's what it means. She says that it's a video game term.
Okay, you keep talking. I'm Googling PWNDU right now.
So what does PWNDU mean? Maybe in relation to video games. PWNDU, what does it stand for? I mean, I'm curious. I don't know. When I first read this, I thought the story was completely ridiculous because, you know, some people have dirty minds in Tennessee is all I can think. That's all I got. What did you find out, Tyler? You look like you're reading.
Well, it is okay. It is. The term implies domination or humiliation of a rival, used primarily in the internet gaming culture to taunt an opponent who has just been soundly defeated. Example: you just got puned.
Puned. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Like when you shoot somebody, like the Star Wars movie, pew, 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 pew. That's what it is. You got nailed.
That's what it is. It's a bunch of Star Wars nerds.
Pew, pew. Huh. See, that's it right there. So her defense is that it's the date of the moon landing and a Star Wars or video game term.
But I cannot find anything that says where that came from.
Doesn't matter. I'm curious. I can't wait till this goes to court and the state of Tennessee has to tell what they think it means. You know, the guys at the Department of Revenue.
Yeah, some nerdy IRS guy coming up to...
You don't know what that means?
Well, puned is a derogatory term.
It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see where that one goes, Tyler. But
I'm on the ladies' side.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. What do you got next, Tyler?
Okay. Brandon, do you think you could do more push-ups than an 87-year-old senator? I know that's a random question.
I certainly would hope so.
Okay, so yes. Okay. That might be tougher than you think because Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa just did 22 push-ups at a fundraiser. 22 happens to be the number of veterans who commit suicide on average each day, so it was to bring awareness to that. Brandon, we are both half the age of Senator Grassley. We are both in our late 30s. Do you think that you and I could both do 22 push-ups right now?
We'll do it off camera. Number one. This is amazing. Remind me to never mess with Chuck Grassley. I mean, this guy's tough. When I'm 87, if I can do 22 push-ups, I've done something right. So Grassley's an interesting character. He says some things that are every now and then. But he can do 22 push-ups. You know? It's like you get into an argument, you know, when he gets on the Senate floor and he argues with somebody. He's like, well, I can do more push-ups than you. You know what I mean?
Which is probably true.
That's probably why we have so much fighting in the Senate.
You think Mitch McConnell could do 22 push-ups?
Oh, jeez. I was getting ready to ask if he gets to come out of his shell to do them, but that would imply that I was making fun of him as a turtle.
No, never. We would never say that. Yeah,
I mean, could you do it, Tyler?
You know, I was trying to think back to the last time that I did 20 or 25 push-ups.
Yeah.
I probably haven't done 20 push-ups since high school.
Basketball.
Yeah, and because our basketball coach, you and I both played high school basketball together. Kind of our kind of opening routine to practice, we'd do our sit-ups and our jumping jacks, and we'd have to do 20, 25 push-ups right before practice even started. I think that's probably the last time I've ever even attempted more than a push-up. So I would be very concerned if I had to put money on myself being able to do 22 push-ups. I would not feel good about it. Yeah, if I'm being honest.
No, it's all right, Tyler. You know, moving on to the next topic, Tyler, you want to know something I don't feel really good about?
What's that?
Bill Cosby is free and he's roaming the streets of America.
Oh, no.
I don't know if you saw this, Tyler, this past week. Bill Cosby was released and his sentence was essentially vacated because of issues in the prosecution's case that came up afterwards. Without going into all the legal details, there's a lot you can read and it's super nerdy. But long story short, there were some loopholes. And Cosby is free to go sell all the pudding pops he wants. Tyler, what? Pudding pop.
That's a great Bill Cosby impression.
It was terrible. That's Bill Cosby after he's had a glass of bourbon. I can tell you that right now. Hopefully Bill Cosby wasn't around this glass of bourbon. I wonder what's floating around in here. But
oh, jeez.
Oh boy, Tyler, what do you think? What do you think?
Off the rails.
What do you think about Bill Cosby just running free?
Well, you know, it's amazing how all the people who manage to find all these loopholes in the legal system always have a lot of money. You know, you never see the homeless guy finding the loopholes and getting paroled. It's always the celebrities who hire the best attorneys. It's funny how that works out.
That's the way it is. It really is. It's kind of sad because, you know, I think a lot of people will argue that the justice system is racially based. I think it's money based.
Yes, I really could not agree more.
He who has the most money wins.
Yep.
And whether you like it or not, they can hire the best attorneys. They can hire 10 attorneys to get on a case and find a loophole, while, like you said, the guy that's on the street can barely afford to get, he can get a public attorney.
They're getting the public defender's
where
office.
Somebody else can hire an entire team. He who has the money wins, and apparently Bill sold a crap ton of pudding pops. He's still getting royalties off of Fat Albert, and he's just killing it. And the Cosby Show.
Yeah, what makes this sad? I mean, 'cause in the history of television shows, there was never a better TV show dad than Bill Cosby in The Cosby Show. Just, the wholesome family man, all about his family and his kids.
I watched it religiously.
I mean,
I loved it.
Maybe the worst thing of all this is that how our image, well, I guess not the second worst thing out of all this. Not the worst thing. The second worst thing out of all this is just how your perception of somebody is just so wrong. Like, we think we know these people that we see on TV shows, and like, oh, that just seems like a good guy. Like, he seems like a good man, good husband, good father, and you don't know anything about these people.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, but what's he going to do? I think his days of doing what he's accused of doing are probably done. Nobody is going to go to the bar with Bill Cosby. Okay.
No.
Something tells me he's going to live a reclusive life, a la O.J. Simpson, probably.
Yes, that's a good comparison.
You know what I mean? Yep. It's just, he's out. He's probably just best off going to his own private island or something and just sitting somewhere, because nobody's going to want to be within 10 feet of him publicly just for their own brand. Are other celebrities going to be caught out with dinner with Bill Cosby?
Yeah,
No.
That's true.
So, I don't know.
You can just go eat his chocolate pudding.
I will say, those were good pudding pops.
With Carl from The Walking Dead, they can just eat their chocolate pudding.
Coral. Why did I just steal your pen? I don't know why I stole your pen.
It's okay. I'll allow it.
That was an interesting news segment. As always, follow us on Twitter at LexBuds, Facebook, LexBuds and Pick and Roll, and YouTube, type in the word LexBuds. You'll find us. Essentially, go anywhere on your internet machine and type in the word LexBuds, and that includes Instagram.
Yes.
As well. We are on the Instagrams, Tyler.
The IG, as the kids call it.
Is that what they call it?
I guess.
I had no idea. And make sure you download the podcast, leave a review. That helps us show up in higher rankings on the podcast, whether you're downloading with Apple, Android, whatever podcast app you're using. Search LexBuds. You will find us.
Yes, and also make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you listen, whether that is if you're watching us on video on the YouTube, or downloading the podcast through Apple or Spotify, wherever it is. Make sure you hit the subscribe to make sure that when we come out with a new episode, you will automatically be notified of it. You know, Brandon, I have several friends who know we do the show, and they'll be like, "Hey, you guys still doing the podcast? I haven't seen anything in a while." I'm like, "Well, do you subscribe?" And they're like, "Oh, no." Well, if you subscribed, you would get that on your phone or on your computer every week when it comes out, because we put these out every week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you stay up to date with the show.
Absolutely, Tyler. And as we move into our final segment here, there's a couple things we could do. One, we're going to the Final Four of the Calipari Players Bracket.
It's been a long journey.
And I think we get to the Final Four. Let's do those two matchups, and then let's bring out our Wheel of Stupid Topics and maybe do two of those.
I like it.
Let's do two of those.
We haven't done that in a long time. We haven't been in person for a long time, so I feel it's time to break it out.
All right, so Tyler, just to recap, the Calipari Players Bracket, for those who haven't listened up to this point, Tyler broke down 68 players from the John Calipari era, ranked them 1 to 68, put them in 4 brackets just like you would see on the NCAA tournament bracket show, and we've been basically letting them battle it out based on who was the better player in our opinions, who contributed more to the team, who was more of a fan favorite, and who had the intangibles. And this excludes anything they did in the NBA. This is just at UK. And we went through every round on here. We've used social media to break ties with the fans. So people vote and break the ties along the way. We made it to the Final Four, Tyler. That includes Anthony Davis versus Tyler Eulis in one Final Four matchup. And in the other Final Four matchup, we had to send these to a vote. All right, so in the Elite Eight, we had John Wall versus Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Can you want to tell us who won that one?
John Wall won that one pretty handily, as I said he would. So John Wall moved on over MKG.
Okay, and then in our other one, we had Cousins versus Fox.
In the upset, Cousins was the 1 seed. Fox is what, the 3 seed? Mm-hmm. De'Aaron Fox won. He continues to pull off upset after upset. And De'Aaron Fox has moved on as the 3 seed, the only non-number 1 seed to make the Final Four.
Well, since we just talked about those two matchups, Tyler, let's go into them. So we have John Wall against De'Aaron Fox. Tyler, who do you have in this one?
Oh, you're going to make me go first?
Yeah.
This is brutal. I mean, they're essentially the same guy, aren't they?
They are.
I mean, they're both the 2 fastest players that we've had in the Cal era.
Easily.
They are both unstoppable at getting to the rim. They both had mediocre at best outside shots. I mean, their strengths and their weaknesses are one and the same, really.
Yeah.
So this is really hard. But I'm going to say I've been very surprised at the support that people have given De'Aaron Fox as a 3 seed. I clearly had him ranked too low in this bracket because the love from BBM for De'Aaron Fox, I underestimated.
Maybe next time you should estimate him, not underestimate.
Yes, he has earned at least a 2 seed, if not a 1 seed, in the next go around of this when we do it next time. But that being said, I mean we're splitting hairs with these two really. So I got to start going to some intangible things.
Okay.
So I'm looking at which team was better? Again.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
they ended up in the same spot.
They both lost in the Elite Eight. You could make an argument that both teams were, at that time, playing as good as any team in the country. They just had a rough night. Crazy things happened in both those games. Mm-hmm. So I start to look, okay, what else can we go to? And then you just look at what did John Wall do for the program versus what De'Aaron Fox did for the program. And that's where I think there is a monster of a difference here. That John Wall came in, we just finished the last year of Billy Gillespie, NIT season. John Wall comes in and is a superstar. He is the biggest superstar, I think, of my lifetime since I've started watching Kentucky basketball.
Mm-hmm.
The John Wall craze, it was unreal. I mean, the jerseys, the dances, the bars selling John Wall shots. I mean, the obsession for John Wall in this state is unlike any other player I've ever seen. The charisma. I mean, Fox was kind of more reserved, quiet guy. I mean, John Wall just outgoing, charismatic, owned any room that he was in. So if I'm doing just the intangibles, so everything else to me is equal. The play, the skill, everything is equal. Both were like top 5 picks. So I'm just going to look at what did they do for the program. John Wall revitalized the program. So I'm going John Wall.
Yeah, it's a tough call, man, because, again, both players lost at the same point in the tournament, although I will say De'Aaron Fox lost to a much better North Carolina team on a last-second shot.
True.
So if you're looking at it, I think Fox gave the team an overall better chance to get to a title, even though in the end they both ended up losing. De'Aaron Fox was the best player on the team, as was John Wall. De'Aaron Fox also has the game against Lonzo Ball in his pocket as well.
Yep.
And I think that is a reason why a lot of BBN is behind him. It's that game. I mean, it was great to see that on a national stage and have Lonzo Ball and his dad put in their place. And by his dad, I mean De'Aaron Fox, right? Not his actual dad. But at the end of the day, John Wall had the dance along with everything else. He brought everything back to where it should have been a long time ago. So I'm going to go with John Wall as well in this one.
Oh, wow. You have been supporting Fox for a while.
Yeah, I'm a big Fox fan. I'm a big Fox fan, but, the buck stops at John Wall when it comes to point guards. That's all there is to it.
All right. So John Wall makes it to the finals.
Yep.
Who we got in the other semifinal?
Tyler, Wall is in the finals, and he will play the winner of Anthony Davis versus Tyler Ulis. Tyler, I hate to say this. I really hate to say this.
You're going Tyler Ulis, aren't you?
No. No. I think Anthony Davis just dominates this in every way. He can handle the ball like a guard. He can shoot. He blocks every shot. He was the best player on our national championship team. And he had a unibrow.
And he shot the 5th most shots on the team that year.
I hadn't heard that.
I don't know if you knew that.
No, that's a new one on me. That is a new one. Thanks for that tip, Tyler.
Yeah.
So I got to go with Anthony Davis. I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah. The end of the road has definitely come for Tyler Ulis. He had a great run. Arguably had the best season of any point guard that we've had, but Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis, and that's all you got to say.
So this sets up a monumental matchup. John Wall versus Anthony Davis. 2 players playing completely different positions, yet dominated the floor every time they were on it. 2 players that changed the game.
Yep.
And played at a level that is just above anything that we'd seen in a long time. And they happened in the first few years of Calipari being here.
Yep, those were a great 3 years, weren't they?
Those were a great 3 years, so I guess we save that for next week. Or do you want to go ahead and talk about it now? Or do you want to save it for next week? I'll leave it up to you.
I mean, let's put it out for a vote too, just to see what the people think. I mean, I have a feeling I think where people are going to vote on this. But
let's put it out to a vote, and then we'll discuss it as well. How about that?
Okay, I like it.
So let's do that. If we need the tiebreaker, we'll use the vote that's out there. If not, we'll just move on. How about that?
That sounds good.
But that being said, Tyler, that's been a fun bracket. I've really enjoyed that idea you put together. And something else I enjoy just as much, if not more than that, Tyler, is our Wheel of Stupid Topics.
Oh, boy.
If you are not familiar with our Wheel of Stupid Topics, I'm going to put it up
Here
on
the
screen.
comes.
So if you're on the YouTubes or the Internet, you can see this. Basically, we put a bunch of topics up on here. We got 10 different topics on this wheel. We are using a green screen, and conveniently, our wheel has 2 green wedges that you will see are blacked out because we're using a green screen, because that's how we roll. But there are 10 different topics on here. We're going to spin the wheel and basically give our opinion on these random topics.
I can't wait. This has been a long time since we've done it, and I'm very excited to bring it back. These always lead to ridiculous discussions and debates. So, without further ado, Brandon, would you like to have the honor of...
You want me to go first? I was going to let you go first.
No. This is your house, your basement, your studio.
Let's do it. All right, ready?
You spin the wheel.
I love the sound. Ready?
Here we go.
Like the Price is Right.
What we got?
What's it say?
Oh, what is your favorite smell?
Oh, jeez.
Favorite smell?
That's a really random question. Who's going first?
I don't know. Who came up with this?
Here, I spun the wheel. You go first, and then when you spin, I'll go first.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there's a lot of different ways you could go with this. I mean, because obviously foods, there are so many different foods that have great smells.
Right.
But then you also have, like the smell of freshly cut grass. Smells that just kind of occur in nature. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways we could go with this. For me, I think I got to go with the smell of freshly cut grass. I mean,
really?
I love a lot of smell. I love the smell of fried chicken. I love the smell of cookies baking in the oven. But the smell of freshly cut grass, because not only is the smell great, but you also have this sense of, I don't have to mow this yard again for at least another week. It's a smell of victory, of accomplishment, that you have done something
You've
worthwhile.
got to be kidding me, Tyler.
I love
that's one of my least favorite.
Really?
I can't stand it.
What?
I don't like it at all.
Oh my goodness.
Ugh. Because when I think about it, I think, oh God, my allergies are going to kill me today. Where's the Benadryl? Jeez. So while you're smelling victory, Tyler, I'm smelling frustration and anger. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I didn't even think about the whole allergy thing. But yeah, so I never have allergy issues. Never have, thankfully. Knock on wood. So yeah, I mean, it's just a smell of everything. Smell you get in tune with nature, in tune with your sense of victory. You have dominated that yard. You have made it look like the best yard in the neighborhood. It looks nice. You can just walk back into the house and enjoy what you have just done.
You have lost your mind. You have absolutely lost your mind. For me, I got to go with something food related.
I knew you would.
So there's a lot of food smells that come to mind. Fried chicken, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
absolutely love it. Pizza being another one. I love getting a big box of pizza and then opening up and getting that big. When you open the box, it's a great thing. But for me, it doesn't get any more primal or just manly, chest hair growing, just everything more than smoking a big piece of meat in a smoker or a barbecue. You know what I mean? Like if you put on a pork shoulder, you're going to pull the pork, you put it on, you let it cook for like 12 hours. Mm-hmm. And when you're done, you want to talk about a sense of accomplishment. You're like, I dominated that pork. I totally killed it. The same sense that you have when you cut the grass.
Yeah, similar sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, when I get up and smoke pork on my smoker, Tyler, I wake up at 3:34 in the morning. And I go out on my back deck. My neighbors probably think I'm breaking into somebody's house because there's a woof of smoke coming from my home. There's somebody rustling around on the back patio. And I'm putting the pork on, and then I go back to sleep. And you can just sit and smell. It's just a smell. It permeates everything.
Yes.
And you can smell it all over the neighborhood. That's what I really love. I love for other people to know that I am firing up some meat. And it's just a good feeling all the way around.
That is, I mean, because, anytime, if you're just out for a walk around the neighborhood and you just happen to walk by somebody's house where they're grilling out and you catch a whiff of that and you're like, oh.
Exactly.
Like, you just want to go up to their front door like, can I please just come over and eat with you tonight? Like, that smells amazing.
Yes, I love that feeling. And then sitting right next to the smoker while it's just blowing in your face, it's just a great thing. There's just something about it. And then when you open up the lid every now and then, because you don't want to open it too much, you open it every now and then to take a look, and you just see the sizzle and the pop, and you get the odor. It's just a great thing.
Yeah, I can't argue too much with that one. So like I said, the impact of the barbecue smell, even just walking by someone's house, it's a powerful, powerful smell.
It is. There's something. It's primal. You're going back to caveman days, essentially. You're roasting meat on a fire.
Yeah, maybe that's why we're attracted to that smell so much.
I don't know.
It goes back to our primitive days.
Yeah, like the primitive days when they used to cut the grass. Which is why you love to cut the grass.
That probably wasn't high on their priority list, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Run from dinosaur, try not to get killed by a saber-tooth, and cut the grass.
But see, if you cut the grass, you could see the saber-tooth coming. Like, they wouldn't be able to hide in the weeds of the grass. So, I mean, maybe it was a survival skill, really, for being honest.
Yeah. Let's get the wheel out again. That's the worst survival skill ever, man. cutting the grass.
This is why I would not be of any use. If the apocalypse ever comes, I will be dead in a week.
So you think
I have no useful skills?
You think when they were plotting stuff out in the cave, they're like, Rick, you get the machete. Bill, you get the spear. Tyler, you get the lawnmower. And I think we can get through this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Tyler, this is terrible.
Sorry.
I think we spend one. Let's spin one more round. This time, Tyler, I'll let you spin and I'll go first. How about
Okay.
that?
All right. I can't wait.
That was a good one, though.
Here we
Totally
go.
different answers on that last
It
one.
was. Yeah. All right. Big bucks. No whammies. No whammies. Come on, baby. Stop.
Okay, what is it?
Okay. We have. Okay. This is a time travel question.
Oh, okay.
So, if you could time travel, when are you time traveling to? Are you traveling to the past or are you traveling to the future? What is piquing your interest?
This is
here?
really interesting because I'm big on technology, Tyler. I love new tech. I love everything that goes on in tech. You know that. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to tech stuff. I enjoy it. I like seeing the advancements of society and how far we can push things. I think it's exciting. It pushes the boundaries of what we think we can accomplish, right?
Okay.
John F. Kennedy said we're going to go to the moon by the end of the 60s. Everybody's like, no.
And as we learned from the woman in Tennessee, he made it there in 1969.
1969, that's right. But you can push the boundaries and see where you can go. It's exciting. However, my mind longs for a much simpler time when that was not the case. I'm thinking I would like to go back to the time when the settlers first got here
Oh.
and started everything.
Okay.
Before they started all the crap with the Native Americans. I would like to have intervened.
You
want to
be here when the Mayflower's landing.
Yeah, I would want to come in and say, hey, guys, let's not ravage this village. Let's hang out with these people. They know stuff. That's the part, when I think back in time, that part really ticks me off. That, that kind of stuff happened, right? Everybody knows that happened. It's not a secret. It's not a partisan thing. Mm-hmm. I would like to be there just to be like the middleman to say, hey, you really think this is a good idea? I feel like these guys know stuff. We should hang with them. Like if I had like Tyler, if you said, hey man, I could grow you some good corn and cook you some good food, I'd be like, man, I want to hang out with that guy.
Right. Okay.
So I would like to go back to that time and maybe make a difference to where that didn't happen, and also be able to live off the land.
You're going to live off the land.
I would like to live off the land.
What are you going to do to live off the land? So give me your what are you growing on your? I assume you're going to have a farm.
I would count on my Native American friends who I just met, and we would hang out and we'd have the best farms.
So you're not really living off the land. You're just relying on someone else to live off the land.
I'm kind of like hanging out on. I'm living in their futon in their basement, kind of deal.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the guy that's on their couch that won't leave. They're like, why is Brandon still here? He's been here for like 3 weeks. Is he leaving? But I mean, I would enjoy it. I would enjoy raising a family, having my own farm or plot of land or what have you, and just doing everything manually.
Wow, this really surprises me because you're kind of Mr. Technology. So it really surprises me that you would want to go back to a time.
No iPad, no phone, no internet, no TV, no air conditioning, and just do it. Be out there, build your own house for Pete's sake.
And you think you could build your own house also?
No, but I would make friends that know how to build the house. And I would say, hey, I tell you what, man, you build my house, I'll cook you some food.
So you've made fun of me for having no survival skills, but you have just illustrated you are relying upon everyone else as well.
Are you saying that a social game is not a good survival skill? I mean, that's part of survival.
Yeah, I guess if you're saving the Native Americans from having their land taken, they would probably build you a house, I guess.
I would hope so. They're like, hey, you guys build me this house or these guys are going. I'm telling you. But I always thought that was an interesting time in history that I wish would have went differently. And I would like to be there, excluding all that, just like to be in a simpler time when there was a new discovery of new land. I think that's pretty cool.
That's very, very honorable, sir.
Thank you.
You're going back to try to change history for the better.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I, on the other hand, am traveling to the future to make life better for myself.
Oh, okay.
I am being, if I'm being honest, I'm being completely selfish in this choice.
Okay.
As a history major, it's the opportunity to go back in time and see historical times and events would be very tempting. I would love to go back in time. But if I think about the opportunity to change the fortunes for myself and my family for the better, I think would be too hard to pass up. So I'm going into the future, But I'm going just a few years into the future. Maybe 5-10 years into the future. I suppose I could go more, but the whole point is I want to be able to go to the future to get that sports almanac, like in Back to the Future Part 2. When Biff gets the sports almanac and builds his casino empire. I'm going into the future. I'm finding out who wins every derby, every World Series, every sporting event. I'm going to come back and know it all so that I can then bet on all of them and become a millionaire.
So let me get this. I just want to make sure that I'm clear for the audience here. So mine was to do better for all of mankind and to make a productive society for millions of Americans. Yours is to win a horse race.
That's correct.
Okay. I just wanted clarification for the listeners in case they got confused a little bit. That's pretty interesting, Tyler. That is crazy.
I mean, is it not a great idea, though? Well, I mean, what could possibly go wrong with that plan?
I don't know, Tyler. What could go wrong?
I mean, it worked out great in Back to the Future.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. What if you started betting on those things and it didn't happen though? What if you What if you messed stuff up by grabbing that almanac? What if you screwed up the whole the butterfly effect?
Well, I'm sure it can't be worse than you altering the entire course of events from the settlement of our country.
So now you're
sure
saying
nothing could go wrong with you. You come back and America doesn't even exist.
Okay, so now we have on record Tyler saying that saving the lives of Native Americans is worse than winning a horse race. I believe that's what you just said, Tyler.
I did not say that.
I'm a little bit shocked.
I'm just saying in both instances the course of events could be altered.
And mine would be for the better. Yours would again be to put money in your pocket.
I mean,
for a
you
horse
have
race.
you have better intentions than me. I think there's no denying that. But as you said, you never know how far the butterfly effect can go.
That's a good point, Ty. We don't really know. And that's why we have these stupid topic debates, Ty, for reasons just like this. We went in totally separate directions that couldn't be more opposed to each other. But I think your idea is a good idea, though, just to be fair.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we do on the show, Ty. This has been an interesting episode. We've covered so much random stuff. I feel like I say that every week, but we cover random things. Stuff that people may have missed over the course of the week. This is stuff you're not going to find on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or the evening news. This is stuff that you come to get here.
That's right, because who else is going to cover Bill Cosby and Tennessee license plates in the same show?
I don't know.
And we do it without yelling at each other, too, like they do on CNN.
We do that off camera.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as the camera goes off, we just sit and just berate each other.
You're an idiot.
You get the heck
crazy.
out of here. No, we don't. What we do is we pack up everything and we just live our separate lives and move on.
We do.
Right?
It is possible to have differing opinions and just settle them over a glass of bourbon.
What a concept.
Which by looking at both of our glasses, our bourbon glasses are now empty, which I think means
even
it's
if
about
people
time.
didn't physically see the glasses, Tyler, by the way that we talked in our last 10 minutes of the show about these stupid topics, I think people are very aware that we had some bourbon on this show because that last 10 minutes was completely ridiculous, yet so fulfilling for me personally to hear these random thoughts.
Yes.
So
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So on Twitter at LexBuds, we're going to put the poll up of our Calipari bracket final game.
John Wall versus Anthony Davis. Let us know who you got.
Yep, so that may be up on Facebook too, right? LexBuds and
Sure, why not? We'll put it up on everything.
Sure, Instagram, LexBuds on YouTube. Go to your internet machine, type in the word LexBuds. You will find us. And Tyler, it was a fun show. And hopefully we'll keep doing some more live shows. This is fun.
It was great to be back in studio. I think we bring a little bit of extra pep in our step for these shows.
A little bit of zing and pep.
That's right.
So anyway, we will see you guys on the next episode.
Stay classy, Kentucky.
And see, when we're in person, we can get that right together.
Yeah.